Hey, everyone. Welcome back to this episode of the Property Profits Real Estate Podcast. Today, zooming in all the way from beautiful Calgary, Alberta. It's a client of ours, Kendal Slipchuk. And Kendal is a real estate investor with quite a few years of experience under his belt. He's done a number of different real estate investing strategies. And these days, he's focusing on doing buy, fix, and sells, as well as new builds of rental properties. So Kendal, welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Thanks, Dave. Great to be here. It's a nice sunny day this morning in Calgary.
It is. It's sunny in your neck of the woods, sunny in my neck of the woods. No complaints here. So, hey, Kendal, tell us, you've got an interesting backstory and something that we're kind of connected on. You are married to a lovely Japanese woman, and you've got 4 beautiful kids. I'm comparatively relatively newly married to a beautiful Korean woman. Mm-hmm. She's got 1 child from a previous marriage. I've got 2 kids from my previous marriage. But it's always interesting to see and talk with other folks that are involved with a partner that comes from a completely different culture. So maybe if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your background, and including a little bit about how you guys met and how you guys, I think you lived in Japan for a little while and then came to Canada, and how you got your wife on board with real estate investing.
Well, I think, let's start with my wife. When I met my wife, she came here actually from Japan just to learn English, more or less. The reason why she came to Canada to learn English is because she wanted to be a nurse. After high school, she applied. She didn't get in, just too many applicants. So she figured she'd come to Canada to learn English because it's part of the curriculum. And then I played soccer with somebody she came over with, from Japan with. And he asked me if I could help tutor her because she was pretty shy. She was shy at the time, but she's not shy anymore. But so basically, now I tutored her, and that's how we met, and then got married. And then actually right after we got married, we went to Japan for about a year. And
what were you doing in Japan, just out of curiosity?
The easiest thing there is to teach English. So if you're a foreigner and from
you had some practice tutoring your wife, so there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So not sure if I did well, but yeah, that's how we met. And then came back to Canada. I got in the trades, electrician, refrigeration mechanic. My wife, she stayed home, take care of the kids. We went back again for another year in 2005 or 6, I believe, for about a year.
So when was the first trip that you went?
2000, actually, around 2000.
All right. And so you lived there for a year. That was pre-kids.
Yeah.
Then you started having a family and you went back 2005. That must have been quite a challenge.
Yeah, it was. We were thinking about staying there longer, but just career-wise for foreigners out there, there's not much opportunity. So it just made more sense.
It's pretty much that. It's pretty much teaching English would be.
Yeah. So I didn't see a future. So came back and continued on the trades and just kept going with that. And so. Yeah. Well,
interesting. I don't know if you know this or not, Kendal, but I lived for 10 years in Costa Rica, and that was my profession for a decade. As I had a language training company down there, and we sent teachers out to train people at corporate on-site training. And so I'm very familiar with that whole world.
It's a good experience. I think everybody should at least try, if they can, to travel or even see the world, different places. It opens your eyes quite a bit. So,
okay, so you land back in Canada, you get back into the trades. At what point did you start looking at real estate seriously, and what piqued your interest in the first place?
I was always interested in real estate, just because I knew. I was always eager to make money. I was always an entrepreneur, but I realized also from reading like a Forbes magazine when I was in high school that most wealthy people are wealthy due to real estate. So it always piqued my interest. So,
well, first of all, you're a little bit different for being in high school and reading Forbes magazine. I don't recall that being top on my reading list in high school.
Totally. I'm a bit of a nerd, I guess, on that side, but I should have went to become an economist or something like that, economics. And so trades maybe is not my thing, but whatever, that's where I'm at. Right. So,
yeah.
But, so that's how we kind of got interested in obviously having a family, 4 kids, wife, take care of, like, it's, I'm trying to run one direction, but at the same time, my wife's trying to pull me back to focus on the family, which is had a hard time, right? So
yeah. Now, what about culturally? Is there a different attitude about real estate in Japan versus North America?
totally. I mean, the nice thing with her family, her parents, they've got real estate, and they've done well with some properties that they've bought over the years. But at the same time, at the same time, Japan, since the economy went down, 20 plus years ago, 30 years ago, their real estate hasn't gone up. Usually, Japan real estate goes down in value. So you buy something for 400,000. You're lucky 20 years later if it's worth 300, right? Just because it just
doesn't seem like a great investment there. No. Yeah.
So it's not the same.
So that must have kind of weighed on her a little bit when you started saying, "Hey, let's get into the whole real estate game."
Yes, totally. It's everything. I'm very more risk taker, where my wife, she always wanted just more simple, traditional lifestyle. So
yeah. Know what? I can resonate with that 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, we've clashed quite a bit over things, and now we're more kind of on the same path, and she loves real estate. She loves looking for properties. So,
that's awesome.
It's actually fun looking at, talking about properties, or even
working together as a couple on it instead of you trying to toe the whole line yourself. That is such a struggle. That was the challenge with my first marriage as well, was we were not, a couple other things as well, but we were definitely not aligned when it came to that.
That's really valuable and important. There's no way, I can't see how you succeed without your partner being on the same path as you.
Okay. So you kind of got on the same path. And what did you start doing as far as investment properties? What were your first deals, or what did you focus on?
First, I guess, I was always, like, I started in Edmonton. That's where we lived first. Always looked at properties that kind of had potential, so maybe something that was undervalued, or maybe somebody had to sell quick. So we bought a few properties, not too bad. One property that in particular we bought, which is kind of a bad decision, but I guess it's a good short story to share. But back the second time we went to Japan, we only had the one property. And we were like, we knew we were going to go to Japan, but I thought, well, I don't want to have to manage this property when we're living in Japan. So I thought, we'll just sell it. Well, that was a big mistake, because when we sold it, guess what happened? Alberta house prices doubled.
Yeah, boom.
So when we got back, that house pretty much went up twice as much. So I think we sold it for $250, and it was almost worth $400 when we got back. So that's a lot of money, and that's a big, hard lesson to learn. That was tough to deal with that.
Okay, so then at what point did you start getting into the whole flipping business? Why did you decide to focus on that, given your previous experience with, buying and selling and versus holding on?
Flipping is kind of nice because you can see a property. You can, being that I'm a tradesman, it does help. I have a lot of background with doing, my own work and being connected with other tradespeople. So yeah, looking at finding properties that beat up properties, when you got houses that are like, let's say $100,000 worth more, or selling for $100,000 more, it's a nice opportunity. It's like some of these properties you look at, you can kind of guess how much you need for renovations, but depending on property, the age, obviously something that's in the 1950s, you don't know what you're going to see behind the walls,
right?
Or the foundation.
So it really, it's a case by case type of thing. And what I'm hearing is it's a good opportunity to make a pop of cash, and you've got the experience, you've got the team, you've got the background yourself to make that happen. But how does that tie in with your long-term plans for creating long-term wealth? Because again, a flip is great, but it's very, very active income. You stop doing that, you stop making any money.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's exciting. You start, learning about investments, and there's all these. I'm very bad with that. I learn something new, and I'm chasing everything at once.
The shiny objects. That guilty. Been there.
Yeah. So
got several T-shirts.
Exactly. So now I'm a little bit, I should say, a lot more controlled, and like you said, I'm looking to long term.
Does the wife help out with that? Get you reined in and focused a little bit there?
She does, but I don't know where I'd be without her. I'd be on Mars right now.
I'd be living in a cardboard box somewhere, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the biggest thing is that, I don't want to have to spend so much time managing, and like some people really love that, but I want to kind of more hands off. The one thing, and I didn't mention, is that one reason I always wanted to get in real estate is because, like everyone read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or you have to have passive income. Real estate is not necessarily passive, but it does make a pretty good amount of money without you really doing much.
It's passiver than having to go up north and work in camp and do electrical type stuff. Yeah, exactly.
And as you know, with Calgary here, with the prices going up, well, now I could feel like I finally got a raise. Been
a while.
Yeah, like it's nice. I gave myself a raise, right?
Nice.
No one has any control of my wages except for myself. So
so it's that independence idea.
So I'm hoping, this is what I tell everybody. I'm trying to get like 5 years or less to be the point where I could walk away from my job so that I could just do what I want.
Yeah, you have that time freedom.
Yeah,
the option.
The options. I want the options. And the reason why it's also pushing me more to give that timeline is if we run into this pandemic stuff again, COVID or whatever, I'd like to bail, go to Japan, go to Mexico, South America, Costa Rica, Belize, wherever, and ride it out, rather than
ride it out
locked up in my house, so
ride it out with better weather.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to us a little bit about your quote unquote, air quote here, discovery of build to rent type properties, or what do you call the kind of properties that you're looking at these days?
I'm purpose built.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So right now, reason I like purpose built is because you could actually have it all properly designed, separate. You got property with the main floor suite and a secondary and a basement suite. Right now, I got one being built in Seaton, which is Southeast Calgary. The reason why I picked there is because of the hospital, because the YMCA is there. And
so what kind of property is this? Is this a detached home? It's
a detached land home. Yes. Yeah. So plan on that one will be eventually build a garage suite in the back, and then probably use a garage suite as an Airbnb and the main house as a long-term rental.
So both units in the main house as long-term rentals and the garage suite as an Airbnb. Okay, interesting. So kind of a combination of short-term and long-term. And why not just turn the whole thing into a short-term rental if the cash flow is so much better?
I guess it's depends on the market. I do have an Airbnb now, and I know how it is in the Southeast. You got 5 months of the year that's really busy. The rest, it's pretty dead. So it's
got it.
You don't have much action. But once I get the Airbnb and the garage suite, that'll be the test. If it seems really busy all year long, then maybe I'll open up the main house as well and see how.
All right. So you kind of, within the same property, you're diversifying and lowering your risk a little bit. You got the long-term tenants. Now, based on your numbers, sounds like you're a numbers kind of guy. Just with the long-term tenants at current market rentals, does it look like the property is going to cash flow quite nicely given today's interest rates and whatnot?
It is in some ways, yes. I mean, like last year, it wasn't looking good with the interest rates gone up, but then guess what happened? Rent's gone up. So it matched it. So I think it's pretty good. Obviously, if I was hiring a management company, it wouldn't be that great, but because I'm managing it myself, I will have extra income from it, or cash flow, I should say. So yeah, I think it'll do really well. And hence, being that it's brand new, should be hopefully no maintenance. So
let me ask you this, Kendal. Did you buy this project kind of already sketched out from a developer, or did you find the lot and hire somebody to create the plans for you?
Yes,
how does that work?
This is a brand new community. It's from the developers. So yeah, so it's pretty easy. I haven't gone out and found a separate lot. I mean, down the road I may think about that, but right now this is low risk. Just find a lot in a brand new community, right? So
that's a fascinating idea. Hold that thought for a second. Hi there, this is Dave Dubeau, and real estate investors hire me to raise capital the right way. Why? Because most of them are stuck with too small of a portfolio, and they don't know how to attract investors and raise money for their deals. So I help them to connect, capture, and close their ideal money partners. Bottom line, when you've got a deal, you're going to have the capital to do it. So go ahead and book a no-cost capital clarity session with me at bookachatwithdave.com. Again, that's bookachatwithdave.com.
Okay, very cool. So that sounds very, very appealing. And just for folks who aren't familiar with how that business works, financing wise, money wise, how much money you have to put down on it? But are you open to sharing, like, what's the total cost all in of this property going to be, and how much money have you had to come up with, and when do you have to come up with more, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So with when you're building a brand new home, and if you obviously you have to get a pre-approval, which a lot of mortgage brokers don't like because it's a year ahead of time. So lots of things could change in a year, but that's what the builders require. So if you say it's going to be your principal residence, all they require of you is 5% down. So I don't like to have money tied up. So I said it's going to, this is my principal residence, which it may be, but we're not too sure yet. We may move in it and then rent our current house we're living in right now. So
okay, yeah,
we'll see what happens, how it goes. But that's
so. Did you have to come up with a 5% down now, or
5% down, and then we worry about the financing when we take possession, or just before we take possession. So
okay, very good. So what's the time frame from this start to finish? You found the opportunity, and by the time if all works according to plan, how long will that take?
It's pretty much a year. Like they said, it could be 10 to 14 months. And with the builders right now, like they're still having a hard time getting materials and stuff like that. So we're still dealing with COVID issues or
supply chain disruption stuff from COVID.
Yeah. So, which is delaying things, and but I'm not a big rush anyway, but either or. So right now what I'm waiting on is the next phase in this same area. I'm trying to build a second one in this area. So
okay, so get this one up and going, and a little bit of proof of concept there, and then do a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
So you say you're getting this built out, and you're looking at in the future putting on a garage suite or a lane suite or whatever it's called in that area.
Yeah.
Why not hit the ground running and put that in from day one?
Why? Because if I spend that money right now on that property, on that building that garage suite, I take away from taking that money to buy another property.
Oh, okay. You want to use it as a down payment for another property.
Yeah. Like down the road, that property is going to be great cash flow when its garage suite's done. So for other investors, it may not make sense to go build a garage suite for the amount of cost, but I'm looking at it as a long-term holding property for myself and my family and my kids to pass on. Right. So,
well, that's why I was kind of wondering, wouldn't it, and again, you're the trades guy, so I'm just spitballing here, but wouldn't it be more economical? Because I'm assuming the garage is getting built anyhow. Is that correct?
No, it's because it's land home. They typically don't build a garage.
Okay. All right. So it's just, you'll just get it all done in one fell swoop later on.
Yeah.
Got it.
Usually spend a year to let the ground settle first, and then.
Okay. There you go. Yeah. Learn something every day. Okay. Yeah. So it makes sense financially. Plus, it just makes sense to see how things stand with that property for a year or so before you put in the garage and the garage suite.
Yeah, correct. So
just out of curiosity, with the garage, Are you planning on renting that out separately itself? Not the suite, just the garage itself. Are you planning on renting that out separately?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do, the city's allowed, because I have a pilot, and that's the only thing I'm going for, to make a nice big size garage suite. So in order to do that, you get a 3-car garage suite anyway. But the city allows 3-car, but I'm going to try to go 2 doubles. So I'm going to pay the extra money to try to get them to allow me to do that. So reason for that, because I can rent each one separately for $250, $300 a piece, right?
Nice.
So then I'm, separate leases for the 2 garages then.
Smart.
So,
and theoretically, each garage could have 2 vehicles in it.
Correct. Yeah. So
nice.
If I end up getting, like, Calgary's not at the point of where Edmonton is, where they're allowing triplexes, 3 units on one property, but I think we're going to get there soon. There's talks of it. So, and because I'm so close to the LRT station that's going to be built, I think it's within that zone where they'll push it. And being that it's a pilot, even though I may have 3 suites, but there's still a lot of parking on the property, right? It's not just push everyone in the streets and then, then you got your renters complaining about parking. So.
Right. Yeah, they have the option to park there. Okay, very, very cool. All right. So I see the big benefits of purpose built. You're getting a brand spanking new property. Knock on wood, everything should be working spickety span for a number of years without having to come up with worry about too much maintenance type stuff. What are some of the, and it's going to, you get good tenants paying top rents in these brand new properties as well. So lots of pluses there. What are some of the drawbacks in your mind to this strategy?
Definitely this what, and you'll get this lots from, experienced investors and other realtors, is that you get a bunch of brand new buildings in one area, and then all of a sudden this market slows down. Well, now you're competing with all these other people in this one area, and there's nothing really going on and nothing really developed around the area. Like no stores, no schools. So then renters don't want to live there because there's nothing there.
Right.
So, and then on top of that, there's a lot of other rental properties. So a lot of these, and which has changed in the last few years in Calgary, is that all these new areas, they're allowing suites to be built. So if you have all these brand new areas that are allowing suites, there's so much competition. So if you're going to be building these brand new areas, you got to think about the downturn. I went through the downturn already once, and I know what it's like. So I'm thinking about long term. So if there's a downturn, what will my property offer more than what the competition will offer, right?
Okay.
So that's why I'm thinking how to build it properly. But the one thing that is nice is that there's a lot of infrastructure already in this area. Like I said, there's already a hospital, there's a YMCA, a lot of stores, a lot of shopping, and lots being built there. So I'm not too concerned about that. And
schools as well?
Yeah, schools as well. There's already one there. There's planned, I think, another one this year going to be built, elementary school, I believe.
Okay.
So that's important, especially, a lot of families, so you have to have that infrastructure. So if that's not there, then, if things slow down, well, good luck trying to get rent,
Yeah. So back to the good old location.
Yes.
And what you're doing with this property, once it's all built out, is you're diversifying in that you're going to have your 2 primary rental units in the primary building.
Yeah.
You're going to have 2 garages rented out separately if all works according to plan, plus short-term rental up top there. So if something's not quite working out, there should be a few other things to balance things out. Plus, I guess you could turn the short-term rental into a long-term rental, even at lower rates, just to kind of help stabilize.
Exactly. And then that's our other backup down 5 years down the road. If our, kids move on and move out and on their own, well, we don't need a big space. So we might just use one of the garage suites for our own, just
downsize. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're actually thinking about doing multiple garage suites?
I'm thinking about doing 2 in that same area.
In the same area. Okay. But not on the same property. It'd be one garage.
No.
suite.
Yeah. So build 2 properties, 2 different houses with garage suites. So we'll have 2 exact similar properties. So
very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
well, that is interesting, Kendal. I guess the other playing devil's advocate negative thing that somebody might say about this is, some people say the money is made on the buy when you buy a property. In this case, at the end of the day, you're paying full retail price pretty much for the property. So you're not getting any instant equity in that property. But on the other hand, you are optimizing this to maximize the revenue from this property. So what are your thoughts there?
So I'm not gaining on that buy, but I do believe in the community, what it offers. It's pretty unique. You don't see many brand new communities, residential communities, with this much in the community itself. So I think for long term, it's a good buy.
Excellent.
And I think it's the demand that's going to keep going up. And I think once the LRT is done, that also will drive up the prices and also the rent.
It usually does. What's the time frame for that?
Well, hopefully they already started.
What does the city say the time frame is for that?
Yeah, like to get to way down south to Seaton, you're probably looking 7 years, maybe.
Okay.
So, but who knows? Maybe they'll bump it up. But I'm just saying 7 years. But I'm hoping so. But either way,
in the 5 to 10 year range.
Yeah. So it's a long term, but again, that's what real estate investing is. It's long term. So
the buy. So are you planning to keep doing some flips from time to time in the meanwhile?
I am. I'm kind of more cautious. So just because of over the years, the cost of material, the demand for trades has gone up. So even myself with my connections, it's hard to get guys lined up because unless you're offering them a ton of work, they're not going to pay much attention to you when you just give them a small job here and there.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
So you're kind of on the bottom of the list. Oh, we'll call them up and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll check you in next month. So
that doesn't work. That doesn't work nicely when you're doing flip.
No. So that's where you lose money. So So that's why I just want to stay a little bit more with the time. So if things slow down, maybe would be the time to jump back into flipping. But if I find a good property, and usually good properties are 700,000 and up, for a decent buy, because that's most people are looking for properties under 700,000. So anything above that, you're better chance of finding something decent price. But still, people are trying to get more for their house because of the demand for properties right now. So when you're flipping properties, you got to buy really low in order to protect yourself. So.
Well, Kendal, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you very much for sharing your insights into what you're up to, the background, the backstory, the whole, melding different cultures and expectations, and it taking a while to get both spouses on track and on board. But I'm so happy that you're doing that, and also just your learning journey with, comparing and contrasting flips versus these purpose-built rentals, and how much thought you've put into and planning into really optimizing this one, and then doing a cookie cutter with something else. So hats off to you. That's great. If people want to connect with you and find out more, where can they go?
Like I say, best is maybe my email is at kendalslipchuk@gmail.com. That would be the best way to connect with me.
Fantastic. All right, Kendal. Take care, and everybody, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode. Well, hey there. Thanks for tuning into the Property Profits Podcast. If you like this episode, that's great. Please go ahead and subscribe on iTunes. Give us a good review. That'd be awesome. I appreciate that. And if you're looking to attract investors and raise capital for your deals, then I'm going to invite you to get a complimentary copy of my newest book, right back there. There it is. The Money Partner Formula. You can get a PDF version at investorattractionbook.com. Again, investorattractionbook.com. Take care.